chairman and the committee has a special role. That's why it's in yellow. Does this looks like how value flows? Does this look like how value flows through a club?
Yes, it does.
Okay. So then since, yeah, go ahead. Anybody else?
Question. I see the flow and I'm okay with it, but I don't know. I'm playing devil's advocate.
Sure.
Why not top like the bottom down, or top like it's split? So you have two. What is that? The very first one at the bottom. I think it's Q1 is international.
Yes. Yeah. But we're not here to create value for Kiwanis International, are we? Okay.
Yeah. No, I mean the arrows would also turn downward. So at the end, it would still be Jamaica, the choice, place of choice. It's just that the arrows would flow downward, but showing stuff. Would that be anything wrong, even if the arrows still flow in the right direction?
All right. So what you're saying, in each link between the two, in between any two boxes, you have value flow in two directions, because believe it or not, communities sometimes create value for our club members. And that's true. But these arrows tend to show the net flow of value. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I agree with you. So in order for a Kiwanis club to achieve success, we need to have all of these arrows. Consider these arrows as links in the chain. And you know that a chain is as strong as its weakest link, right? And I would suggest that for each club, each club would have its own weak link or weakest link. So in other words, the strength of the club is not the average of the strength of the links, but it's actually the strength of the weakest link. So maybe I can ask anybody in 23 CSO to tell me, not look on the boxes now, but look on the arrows, right? And let's not include the purple arrows, but let's just include the red arrows. And just the red arrows that flow in and out of the club. Which is the strongest arrow, strongest link, and which is the weakest link now? Anybody want to care to suggest?
The strongest is the chairman and the committee.
No, not the box, the arrow. Arrow.
Club members.
The same arrow from the chairman to the little red arrow there.
Is that strength? Is that strongest as per design or strongest as per actuality?
All right. Well, if you're talking about design, then probably the very, very first arrow at the bottom, since it's so tiny and holding up everything else, you could probably say by structure, it is the strongest since it's holding up everything else and it's so tiny.
No, I'm not talking about design. I'm talking about what is actually happening, because, you know, the strength can change from year to year and can change from quarter to quarter and can change from time to time. So I just want to know, which do you think is currently now the strongest? Not what should be, but what is. You're saying the committee, from the committee to the club members, you say that's the strongest.
May I ask a question then? Is the arrow stating that, is it unique to each club? Because it can be different in each club.
It can be different in each club. As I'm asking about your club right now. And it can be different in the same club 1 year from another year from
Correct.
another year.
Okay,
I'm
so if
asking
you're
currently.
right, so currently, to be honest,
Yeah.
I think it would come. It's coming from the president.
Club president.
President to whom? To officers or to the chairman and committee?
To the chairman, the officers, and
No, no,
club
no.
members.
Which single arrow? I don't want it all the arrows. Which single arrow? So you have two arrows coming from the president. Which of the two is the strongest? No in CSO.
So, mostly to the chairman and the committee.
All right. So one. So okay. Anybody else? So is president to the committee and chair. Okay. Anybody else?
But DLG
And
Bobby,
we're
before we
talking
go
specifically
there,
for CSO at this particular point in time.
Yes. Okay.
All right.
Go ahead, Pauline.
yes, my thinking, looking on the chart and thinking about my club, and not even my club, but clubs in general.
No. South
No.
St. Catherine. Think about South St.
South
Catherine.
St. Catherine. Yeah, I feel that there should, whilst you have the arrow going from the board of directors to the club president, I would have put one from the board of directors to the chairman.
What does the board of
Because-
directors? Board of directors will add value to the chairman. What value
No,
do they add
I
to the
mean, then
chairman?
board of the, that's, no, it is stated board of directors, but remember that a lot of times when the chairman consult with their directors and not the president, they have the meeting with their directors and then the directors would take it to the president. The directors would take it to the board meeting.
Hold on.
So I don't know if that makes sense,
Hold on.
but we don't.
No, but if you
we
have
don't
a
go straight
director,
to the president.
if you have a director as part of a committee, that director is in that yellow box as part of the committee, and then that director is in the blue box as part of a board. It's two different jobs they have. Don't confuse
So
it.
the director, the club chairman and committees, the director would be a part of that.
A part of the committee, yeah. And they have two different roles. One role as part of the committee and one role as part of the board. So that's two separate roles. And they also are part of the club members as well. So the directors may be in three boxes. Right.
Oh.
So in South St. Catherine, so before I come back to you, Paul, let me ask Uridesi. Uridesi, your hand has been raised.
Okay, so I'm just trying to understand the dynamics. So the question you're seeking to have answered is who is the strongest link, or what part, based on this diagram, what part is the strongest link in 23 CSO at this time?
At this time, yes.
And so the strongest link then would be demonstrated by how much effort, input that person, that link is putting in. So if that link is removed today, would that the club still continue? Will it still function normally with the absence of that link?
Absolutely.
So right now, I would say the strongest link now today as we speak would be probably the club president, because
but if the club president is removed, somebody goes and acts as president, so that box doesn't change. The minute if that president moves, then the somebody goes and acts. Probably the president designate or the president elect will go right there and act. So therefore, you know, the box don't change. The box won't change at all. This is about an office, not about an individual. And you'll always have somebody acting as president. Anybody else? Kerry's saying the purple arrows. No, Kerry, don't include the purple arrows. The purple arrows are not included in this exercise. These are sort of outside our influence.
Deji, I think the confusion is because based on your response to really say then I'm a little confused, because when you ask, at this point, based on this diagram, which are the arrows leading from the boxes is the strongest?
Yes.
And you ask for your club at this time.
Yes.
And I said the president, and well, actually Desmond and you said the president. But what I'm saying, I think what we're all thinking is that at this very moment, even though you said the box can be removed, at this point in time, the president, based on efforts and everything else, is the strongest link.
Yeah, that's fine. That's
as
fine.
you say, if as you say, it is the president is gone, and it is, I'm just giving an example of what I think we're all saying. If it's moved, if the president is moved and a different person is acting, it might not be the strongest link anymore.
It could be a better link. It could be a stronger link for one, or it could be a weaker link, or it could be the same link.
Right.
So the question I'm asking is, what is the current situation? That's all. And I think what Eurydice said, ask, is she was trying to define strength based on what happened if you remove somebody.
Yes, and the dynamism of the club.
If you remove all the club members, the thing would drop as well. If you remove the board of directors, everything would fall out, because there'd be nobody to pass anything or approve any expenditure or anything. So therefore, if you remove any one of these boxes, the whole thing will crash. So that is not the best way to really measure if you move. It's just to measure how much value is being added at this time. And if the president said it's from the president to the club chairman committee, that's fine. I would want to know from South St. Catherine person, and I'll go back to Pauline. Pauline, in terms of South St. Catherine, where do you think, in your opinion, is the, or anybody else from South St. Catherine, where in their opinion for South St. Catherine is the strongest link right now? Because we have had times over the years in all the clubs where we have had a weak link between board and presidents. We have had weak links between president and chairman. We have had weak link between chairman and club members. And we had weak links between club members and partners. We have had weak links between club members. Yeah, so in different clubs and in different times, we have had weakest links all around. So I'm just want to know at this point in time, where are we now? Anybody from SSC?
The member.
The club chairman and committee for me.
All right, so it's a chairman and committee, and I'll just say the members. Okay, so this red box here, and then this red box here. Okay, so it's important that this is like a helicopter view of the club, you know. And when you're taking an estimate here, you're looking at where are the weakest link, and if that is the weakest link, you need to fix it. And that should be one of the, almost every month when the board meets, the board should look at this and say, where's the weakest link right now, right? And then let us go and fix that weakest link right now. This is one way, one thing should come to the board. Yes, Eurydice.
Let's see. Eurydice. So
Eurydice, sorry, Eurydice.
Okay, so based on this line of argument just now,
yes,
you're now beginning to state that the link is, or it's beginning to sound to me that you're saying that the strength or the weakness of the link is not necessarily who is most functioning, but the relationship to.
Absolutely, absolutely. So if the chairman is doing all the work on all the projects, yes, there is no link with the club members, and this whole process is dropping down flat. You're absolutely right.
So it's the club president we're looking at, not the function of function.
Not the function. It's how you convert the function into the relationship and the impact along the road. You are correct. You are absolutely correct. The value that you add, not what you do. Okay, so do you have so would your response then be adjusted and ready, see?
Let me say I'm too new to respond. Clear.
I think when you're new, that's your most objective point in your life as a club member. Right, Althea? when you're very new, that's when the objectivity is at the highest. But anyway,
You're
I'll leave
so
you off the
right.
hook. I'll leave you off the hook. Anyway, so with this in mind now, let's see how the club creates value, right? Not just through the stakeholders now, but through its own internal capabilities and what it does. So there's one map which was shown a while ago. There's a different map now. So our impact is this, right? And to get to this impact, we break it down into 3 or 4 or 5, actually. I don't know, we have to redesign it. We want to have satisfied and transformed service leaders and communities. We want to have satisfied, motivated, committed, even engaged, compliant members. We want to have satisfied and contributing partners. We want to have a well-resourced club, and we want to have a prudently governed and well-managed club. If we have R1, R2, R3, R4, and R5, does that take us well on our way to our mission of transform the world one child, one community? Anybody?
Sorry, what was the question, Deirdre?
These are all objectives, outcomes. If we achieve all of those 5 results, does it mean that we are well on our way to achieving IM1, or impact, or mission, or purpose?
Yes, I think so.
Everybody agree?
Correct. Yes.
This is for generic club. Now, we want to look at what are the processes that we must be good at in order to achieve these 5 results. So the first one, we must be good at marketing and promoting the movement and the club. So IP2, sorry, it's we must engage our service leadership clubs and our communities. We must analyze their needs. We must plan projects to meet those needs. We must execute those projects, and we must learn from the projects and report on the projects. So that's that first leg. All that supported by the marketing. Secondly, we must engage our members. We must recruit and orient new members. We must provide welfare and other support to our members as needed. And we must provide opportunities for members to fellowship, to serve, to interclub. We could use interclub as part of the fellowship, and to grow personally, professionally, intellectually, spiritually, as a member. Regarding our partners, that leg, we must engage them, provide opportunities for them to participate and contribute. We must engage our donors, plan and execute fundraisers, and report on and learn from our fundraisers. And the last leg, we must engage our international KI district division, including Lieutenant Governor, Governor, President, etc. We must make sure we collect our dues. We must fulfill our requirements on reports and all our obligations, such as our due payments to the international district, to the foundation, etc. We must, other obligations require us to attend district, international, the DCM, etc., etc., etc. All those obligations. Of course, the treasurer's report and so forth. We must approve all payments and expenditures to be approved. And finally, we must set what are our success targets and monitor the club to ensure they meet the success targets. So this is a handful. If we do IP1 to IP20 properly, will that allow us, all other things being equal, that we achieve R1, R2, R3, R4, and R5?
Yes, it should.
Okay. All right, so if that, anybody else, any other comments? Charm, what do you think? Or Keith? Or LG elect? What do you think?
I was just looking to see where it says engage members.
IP7.
Oh, okay, okay, yes, yes, yes. Okay, yes, I agree.
DLG, what are your thoughts? I know you've seen this already, but you have made some changes. Althea said we should try to do them all.
Well, I usually like collect use. I mean, well, let's see now. IP, I will go with the IP, the service leadership. IP2, that's it?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I'm not asking which is the best, you know. I'm asking you, do you agree that if we do IP1 to IP20, we'll achieve R1 to R5?
Oh.
We're not asking which is the best one. Althea made it very clear that we need to do all of them.
Okay. Well, yes, I agree. The thing is, I'm not sure if we would be able to achieve all of the IPs.
Well, let me ask you a question. There are 20 IPs. Do you think that if we achieve 19 out of 20, we would be a successful club all the while?
Not necessarily.
Absolutely, Desmond. Not necessarily. Let's say, for example, as Keith said, you don't do IP2. Let's say you don't do IP14. You don't plan and execute on fundraisers. Let's say you don't do IP18. There's no reporting and you don't pay your club dues and everything. Let's say you don't do any of IP18, IP8, for example. Let's say you don't do any of IP4 or IP5. Where would it lead us? The whole thing would come crashing down. It's important that all these 20 are done. It's like driving a car. You need, a car with 4 wheels. If you drive at 60 miles an hour with 4 wheels, for 1 hour, you should get to 60 miles. If you use 3 wheels, that does mean you're going to get 3/4 of the way. This is how a strategy map is, that all need to be done. And if you drop out one, it affects the entire thing. So these are not options. These are requirements. There are many other things that you can add on. That's nice. But, these are clear. So if this is clear now, what is the capability required now to do all these? So we look on our enablers and we said we must utilize the strengths and the passions of our members. 2, we must effectively use, LaShawn, you have your hand up. You want to go ahead?
All right, yes. More than one thing. First, I'm thinking, is it going to be something long term or something short term, right?
What, you mean this, man?
And then, yes, and then it will all boil down to what President Sherrill had stated before,
What?
right? Where we had the arrows and you said the club president and then the chairman and the other officers. All of this will boil down to having a strong team.
I know, but hold on. We don't reach here yet. We're saying now, what is it that we need to do? And this is where the enablers come in now. We must utilize the strengths and passions of our members. If we don't do that, you can't get it done. We must effectively use technology and the information that we have. We must have a learning, sharing, and caring environment for our members. This is a club environment now, internal environment. And we must have inspirational and member-centered leadership at all levels of the club. Now, at the board level, at the president level, at the chairman level, at the director level, at the officer level, at all levels. Now, at the enablers now is the capability. So we use this capability to deliver on the 20 processes to achieve the 5 outcome results to achieve our impact. Now, so the yellow, the E1 to E4 and the IP1 to IP20 are the inputs. Or what is the inputs for the clubs, and that will convert into R1 to R5 and eventually into IM1. So you're right. If you don't have the right leadership at all levels of the clubs, including leadership at the chairman level, board level, etc., you will not get to where you want to be. Don't have the proper VPs and president-elects and so forth, and leadership in the officer core, you will not get to where you want to go. Right, LaShawn?
Yes, that was exactly what I was.
Exactly what it is, yeah. Right. So the question is now, so remember R1 to R5 are outputs. And IP1 to IP20 is what we do. So we want to get a very clear understanding of the roles within the clubs when it comes to IP1 to IP20. If this is how you're going to create value and be a successful club, we need to be understanding who is responsible for what. Agreed? Okay. Any other comments about the map? All right, so let's go to let us examine for those 20, right? Not just which one the chairman is involved in, but who is involved. So I'm going to come out of this and we want to fill out this, right? Let me close here and close here. Okay, so I've broken down the 20 board. Okay, the board is a group, right? Although directors are individual people, they act as a group. When they go into a club, they're part of the membership of the club. So I want us to look at the clubs, all these 20 things, and tell me where, right. So, which is the principal role in marketing the club? And this chairman is chairman of all committees. And I put the chairman and the committee together for a specific reason. So number IP1, who should be assigned for marketing the club? The main driver in marketing the club. A board, president, secretary, treasurer, or chairman and committee.
I'm going to suggest, as I know a lot of organizations do, they would indicate that the president or the head of the organization would be one of the marketing, even though you might have an engine such as a marketing team headed by someone, but the face of the company would basically be the president.
I'm not asking who's the face of the company now. I didn't say who will communicate like on the speech, but who would develop the marketing programs and execute the marketing programs and the advertisements and the flyers and all of that. And distribute flyers and
different persons have different roles here, because in the strategic part of it would be between the board and the president. Operationally, it would have been the chairman and their committees.
Well, yeah, so is the chairman and the committees, right? Yes, who raised a hand? Ready to say?
Yes. I was thinking along the line of the president, President Cheryl.
So who prepared the marketing things? Who deals with the marketing agencies? Who sent out the marketing stuff, the flyers, the things?
Chairman and the committee.
Yeah, the chairman and the committee, right? Okay. Who engage the service leadership and the clubs and the communities?
Same committee.
Should be the committee.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let me. Committee. Who analyze community needs and service leadership needs?
Should be the committee.
Right. Trying to get a picture now. Who plan the projects for the service leadership and committees? Committees. Now, who execute these projects?
The committee, the club through the committee.
Oh, sorry. You know what I mean? One thing I'm missing.
Everybody.
Insert columns to the right. Okay, let me just insert column to the right and
Put members.
right. That's right. I forgot about them as a group. Right. Let me put members here.
M's.
Right. Sorry. Yeah. Right. Members. Yeah, let's make some space. Okay. All right. Right. Who execute is really all members, right?
Yeah, members.
And everybody in their capacity as a member.
Right.
Who does the learning and reporting on projects? In other words, who analyze the outcomes, or who report on the projects, then analyze on the learnings and so forth?
Chairman,
and committee. Who's supposed to be engaging individual members?
Chairman of the committee.
Who recruit and orient members? Who does the recruitment?
The club members, all club members should be recruiting.
All club members should be recruiting. Okay. Who provides welfare and support programs? Right.
The committee, in membership committee.
Right. Provision of opportunities to members. This includes the club meetings, it includes the projects, it includes the interclubs, it includes the training, it includes everything. Who does all that? Who organizes all those?
Still a committee, right?
Committees, right? Good. Who are the one who is supposed to engage our strategic partners? Now, the strategic partners could either be the donors or other clubs or whoever else working with us. It could be somebody in our area, could be the member of parliament, could be the councillor, could be, you know, principal in the area. Who does that engagement?
Can you make us to the top again? I think it's a committee position, but
Okay.
committee position. Yes.
All right. Who provides opportunities for these partners to actually participate and contribute to our communities and our children?
Committee and chair when they develop the community analysis and whatnot.
Right. Who is supposed to be engaging donors?
Same.
We're supposed to be planning and executing fundraisers.
Chair.
The committees and they execute the fundraise. Who learn and report? So I put this here again as before. Who does the engagement of KI district division, including governor and lieutenant governor and so forth? Who deals with engaging the division district KI?
I'd put the president here.
But you agree? Who is responsible?
No.
No, I would say the president for that too.
Yeah. Anybody else? Okay, would you think President Althea says you think the PR person, oh yeah, that's committee. Do any of the chairmen would engage with divisional chairs?
I'd also say
Yes.
secretary as well, DLG.
Okay, definitely. All right. Who is responsible for dues collection?
Treasurer.
The treasurer.
Are you sure?
No,
Yes,
no.
If you go ask others for help, but you have to push it.
The secretary too.
It's the secretary is responsible, not the treasurer. It is
Correct.
secretary supposed to send out
Yeah.
and get it. All the chairman, the treasurer just receive it, you know.
True.
All right. In terms of the, hold on, let me just get this, fix this back up here. After that, now we get to, sorry, just want to fix up this thing, sorry. All right, then we get now to the, who prepare club reports now, not committee report, but club reports.
President and the secretary.
Secretary.
The president preparing reports?
Yes,
No,
for the division. Yes,
For the
yes, for the
secretary.
division.
That is a function for the secretary.
Is the
Not-
secretary?
That is the secretary's position, not the treasurer, not the president.
What about the financial obligations?
May I say something?
Yes, Cheryl.
Yeah, I'm saying that the president does prepare a report for divisional council meetings.
The president's report is supposed to be a report that is rolled up from other reports. It's not.
Wait, no, Cheryl, the DCM is not an obligatory report.
Correct. It's not.
It's not really a statutory report, as is the reports that go to international. I mean, but let's put the president in. Let's put the president as well. Put both of them. All right. What about the financial? Who is responsible for the financial obligations?
The treasurer.
Treasurer.
Treasurer as well. Okay. And the treasurer's report is one of those obligations as well. Who is supposed to approve all expenditures of the club?
The
Board.
board.
Treasurer.
Board.
Board.
Oh, the board, yeah.
And who is to set and monitor club success?
The
The
president.
Board.
The president.
The board and the president, right?
Mhm.
All right. Okay. Does this list tells you where the engine of the club is?
Certainly.
Yes.
If we
Yes,
agree
sir.
on the map, it tells where the engine of the club is. Now, one of the things I wanted to talk about this morning before I get on is the role of the board. And I think too many clubs, okay, there are two jobs in any organization or even in any club. One is to run the club, and one is to grow and improve the club. Where does a committee chair and the committees fit? Do they run the club or do they grow and improve the club?
They do both.
Grow and improve the club.
Why is it to improve the club? Tell me, how you get that?
Why is what, DLG?
How you get that they're there to improve the club? What job do they do to improve the club?
Everything that we just talked about.
No. Just to market the club is not improving the club.
Right.
Just to provide opportunities for members is not improving the club. Just to engage members is not improving the club. That's to run the club. Which of these 20 would you consider is running the club and which is involved in growing the club? Think of it. Which one of these are part of running a club and which one is part of growing a club? Or maybe I should go back to the map and you can tell me. Which one of these IP1 to IP20 is running a club and which one is growing the club?
We need funds to run the club.
Yeah, don't need funds to grow the club though.
Correct. I would think growing the club involve any activity that improve the members, not the number of members, but the quality of members. The members now knowing, like, I'm a new member.
That's improving a member. That's improving a member, not necessarily improving a club.
But by me being improved as a new member, and the next person who is also a new member is improved, then that is improving the club as a whole, isn't it?
Unless some members are getting worse.
Well, the idea of training, is that you're improving the knowledge level of the individuals so you can be more useful, you can contribute better, you can contribute to the outcome of the club. So while you're improving yourself as a member, well, ultimately, it is for the benefit of the entire membership, entire organization.
Right.
So therefore, if we, for example, one way to measure a club is a percent of members that are active. And if we have 60% of our members active year in, year out, are we improving the club?
No, it depends on what they actually do.
No.
And that's a problem. That's a point. You can train all you want. If you're still at 60%, you have not improved the club.
No, you have to grow.
So look at these again and tell me which one looks like your operational
Number 10.
Number 10. No,
provide
not necessarily.
opportunities for fellowships, serve interclub.
This grow is not for the club. This grow is for the members. So if you have 10 members growing, you can provide opportunities, but they may not grow.
So how about number 4, IP4?
Plan projects. How does plan projects grow the club? You plan projects every year and the club may be in the same position every year. Most of those clubs who are failing clubs, they plan projects every year, but they don't get better.
Correct.
And
What
can I
about
say,
IP7?
IP7, engage members. Yes, but you can engage members, but don't mean that your percent of active members increase.
That mean all of them. We need to have all of them to make it work.
And I
I
agree.
think IP8.
But look at the individual ones.
I,
You can recruit and orient new members,
yes.
right? But a lot of them drop out and you end up with less active members. That don't mean the club has grown.
Yeah, I need all them too. I think we need all of them.
No, but okay. If you look at number 20, IP20 is the main growing of the club. And that's where, and if you look at IP6 is about how to improve projects. IP6 is about, and IP6 and IP15, individuals speak about how do you make projects better and better? How do you make fundraisers better and better? And IP20 is how do you make the club better and better? So those three, 6, 15, and 20. Now, the question is, going back to where we are. Going back to where we are. IP20 down here is the president and the board. Where in the year do we track our objectives? And one of the problems with setting objectives, presidents tend to tell you what they're going to do during the year. Instead of telling you what they're going to do during the year, like you're going to have this fundraiser, or you're going to have this, or you're going to do that, or you're going to do that. What is the role? What is the real role of the president? What is the real role of the president at the highest level? What is the real purpose of the club? I'll put it this way: should the president be running the club or growing the club?
The president is growing the club because the president is not. I would think the president is responsible for ensuring that the activities or functions happen normally, correctly, organically. But
that is running the club, though.
But not going out to do it.
I didn't say going out to do it. If you want to make sure that it's done properly, that's still running the club. If you want to make sure that the club performs better each year, that's growing the club. That's different. It's two different things. And I think the president
needs to give support.
President is involved in both running the club and in growing the club. Right? The board members, however, is the board members involved in running the club? And what aspects of running the club is the board involved in? Let me ask. What aspects of the club is the board involved in running? And I want to put a slide in to show you what is what we mean by success. Let's put a new slide here. 1 second, I need to find a slide I have already from something that I want to just bring over, if you don't mind. Just hold in 1 second. Let me bring this over. Retreat. 1 second. Let me just bring something over a second. I forgot to add this in this morning. Okay, here it is. Copy. Where is it? Okay. All right. Paste. All right. All right. Now, let me show you something. Success of any club has two parts. It's about performance, and you must always improve your performance, but it's also about compliance. You're successful if you're performing, and you're successful if you're compliant. So you can be doing all you want to do if you're not meeting the requirements of PI and etc. You're not compliant. You're not successful. So let us look at the club or any organization as, you know, a three-sided triangle. So on this one side, there are external boundaries, such as in an organization's regulator statutory compliance. So there are certain things that Kiwan is international to be part to carry use the word Kiwan is a club has to comply with certain things dictated from outside. What are some of these things that they have to comply with?
Pay up your dues.
Pay up your dues to Kiwanis International. You don't have to collect anything now. Once you pay up your rep, you have to pay your dues to international, this division, district, and foundation, right? Anything else? You pay up your dues, and you pay dues for your service leadership clubs. All right, there's also internal boundaries. There are some internal boundaries. I mean, each club can adjust their own bylaws. To say, for example, you must have X amount of directors, right? That you must have your AGM at a certain time, etc., etc. That you must do certain things, right? There are some things, internal things, not driven external, but the club sets up its own rules and regulations. Am I right? So, but the third line represents the performance frontier where you're not constrained, but you're constrained along these two. You cannot go beyond these boundaries set by others, right? However, on the third line, you can push beyond where you were the year before. And the role of the president is really to push along that performance frontier and to keep the club within the other two boundaries. To keep within the compliance, external and internal compliance boundaries, and to push beyond the performance frontier. Now, we need to be clear what performance frontier means. And that performance frontier doesn't mean planning projects, executing projects, recruiting members. That is not the performance frontier. Right? We must be clear what our performance of a club means. And how Cheryl, for example, is to leave 23 CSO in a better position than she found it. And each president is to leave in a better position than it is found. And so from there, and then the board of directors now is to make sure from a governance standpoint. So as the president is CEO responsible board to run the club and to maintain this. The board is there to provide a strategic role to make sure that the club is performing more and more. And it provides a fiduciary role to make sure that the club is performing. So what are some of these fiduciary roles of the board? What are the fiduciary roles that the board has that nobody else has? What is it? What is the main role of that the board has that nobody has? Nobody else has. Anybody can tell me?
Provide general management of the club.
No, but the club, the president does that as well. And they're not there to provide management. Who said they're there to provide management? Who reports to the board?
That's what the bylaw says, you know.
No, the board, does the president report to the board?
Yes.
No, sir. Who tell you that?
The president is a member of the board.
Yeah, but they don't report to the board.
All right. But still, this one says that the board has the following responsibilities. Provide general management of the club, not otherwise delegated to the membership of these bylaws or club policies. That's one. Two.
Not otherwise designated, fine. So what does that mean? What role, what do you mean by overall management? What does that mean?
See to the operations.
What does that mean?
See that both operations and outcomes are achieved.
And what do you mean by
modification of the club?
What is that?
Modification or an execution?
Modification. Let me finish with Desmond first.
Yeah.
When you say that sees that operations are achieved, what does it mean?
Whatever it is, the task that the club has agreed or approved to work on, we want to see, we monitor, examine our
progress. But when is it approved to work on? What do you mean?
Whatever it is that the committee.
So are they supposed to approve every single communication that the secretary sent out?
No.
What do you mean? So why not? If they're to monitor the operations, why are they not there supposed to monitor what the secretary sent out?
Well, look at it this way. Let's take the monthly report that the secretary sends to KI.
Yes. Is the board supposed to sign off on that?
Let me say that from my experience, that before I answer the question, from my experience,
yes,
based on the discussions from the board meeting, the secretary completes the report. But in terms of the final report, I have not experienced.
The board does not approve what the secretary sends out. So the board has no authority to approve what the secretary sends out. Do you agree?
Okay.
Okay.
Point taken.
What authority does the board have? That's all I'm asking. What authority does the board have? Anybody can tell me.
If you don't mind if I continue.
No, yeah, but don't read everything. Just tell me what authority, because what you're reading there is not very clear. I want to know what's the authority of the board. That's what I mean.
The board makes decision as far as admitting members to the club.
So the board, yeah, so admitting members. All right, good. One, admitting members.
The board will decide to delete members.
And two, delete
may not
members.
Be in good standing.
Right. What else?
Well, I brought up the point before, and I just want to see if you agree to it. The committee's assignments or work which may be planned, projects that may be planned by the committees.
The board has no authority to approve projects. And you can show me. Anybody can conflict me, show me where it says so.
Yes, I am glad you mentioned that.
It has no authority to approve projects.
Or, yeah, what about, may I ask another question then?
Yes.
All right. The president, let's say the president is not a member of the committee, but the chairman, having agreed on the project for the year,
yes,
presents that I'm going to be working on XYZ project with SAP.
Yes.
What if the president does not agree with them? What is the responsibility of the chairman there?
The chairman chooses another project.
And I'm sorry?
The chairman does a different project. But the board has no approval on the projects themselves. What does the board have approval on? That's what I'm trying to get from first. What does the board have approval on? What authority does the board have to approve what? Admitted members, deleted members, what else?
They approve the budget.
They approve the budget. 3, fine. What else? That's 3 things.
Bills.
Huh?
Payment of bills.
All expenditure, all club expenditure.
Right.
So it's not the projects really, it's the expenditure. So if a project doesn't need any club expenditure, the board don't need to get involved. What else? It's one more thing it has to approve, which is a statutory requirement of the club. And that 5th one is the treasurer's report. There are 5 things the board: the admitted members, deleted members, the budget, the expenditure, and the treasurer's report. Nothing more. They have no authority beyond that. However, what they must be tracking is not the performance of the committees, but the performance of the club, right? And they are to hold the president accountable on the performance of the club. So therefore, when the president comes and sets the goals or objectives of the clubs, not what they're going to do, but their performance. If we say we're going to grow by 10 members, if we're going to increase our impact by X, if we're going to increase our percent active members by Y, then the board needs to hold the president accountable. The board needs to hold others, the treasurer accountable, right, to make sure that the funds are spent correctly. The board needs to hold the sector accountable to make sure that they send out something. They don't need to approve it. But if the sector has not sent out something which goes against the rules of Kiwanis, the board is required to hold them accountable and ask why not, and so on. But the board is not there to run the club. I think we have gotten a problem where there's no need for committees to come to the board meeting every month to present on the activities of the board or the committees. That is a waste of time of the board. The board is a governance organization. The board is not a management unit. It's a governance. The president runs and manages the clubs, supported by the officer corps. The board is there to govern the club, and we have been using our boards wrongly. They have not been tracking club performance. They've been tracking committee performance, which is a problem. Anybody?
Well said.
Yes, we're ready to see?
Yes, I agree with you.
Okay. So this thing about the committee chairman is supposed to present those updates at a business meeting, not at a board meeting. The board meeting is supposed to deal with the budget just once per year, but the whole expenditure, the treasurer's report, anything to do with the members, and then discuss club performance and hold and make sure everything is being done properly. Right? They're not there to accept.
So in other words,
mm-hmm.
the board position is it has two folds. It's a financial governance position.
Yeah, a fiduciary position, if you could say.
Correct. And holding the president accountable. The running of the club is the committee and the chair people. The
run of the club is the president, right, through the chairman, and with support from the president's support from their executives. So like the president, the president, right. So we have been using the board wrongly.
Okay.
And nobody has been actually tracking performance. How many clubs really track performance during the year of the club? Not track performance of the committees, but track performance of the club. Sometimes I think a monthly board meeting is a waste of time. Although you might don't think you need so quickly is really expenditure approval. But you hardly drop and delete members monthly. Budget is done once a year. The treasurer's report can easily be done quarterly. But the expenditure needs a little more frequency. And I guess that's why they meet every month. But because they don't have anything to do, and because they don't spend time in holding the president accountable, right? They get into the operations and not supposed to get into the operations of the club. That's not their business.
I have a question, DLG.
Yes, Desmond.
Regarding approval of bills for payment.
Yes.
It has been that once that particular expenditure would have been accounted for in the approval of the budget,
Mm-hmm.
it is not everything that you're necessarily going to take to the board for approval, provided it falls within the limit of the budget that was approved. Once you exceed that now, or if it is something that is completely different that was not a part of the discussion in the preparation of the budget, then that is where the board's approval is required. What's your view on that?
No, that's not true. That may be for a regular company, but for Kiwan is very clear, is approval of all bills. Approval of all bills, from what I know. That's what the bylaws state. Clubs are different. Approval of all bills.
And all right, because that has not been the general practice. Yeah, thank you.
And furthermore, it's very difficult to get detailed expenditures in your budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Anybody else? There are certain things that the Kiwan is hold dear. One is the expenditure, is the approval of all expenditures. One. Two is not mixing the project and admin funds. And a lot of clubs have been very guilty of that. And that has been a problem. And we've been, I know in a club that I have been, they said if you have a fundraiser, and you go to your own friends and so forth, it can be used for administration. Absolutely not. It should not be. Even if you invite persons from other clubs, it should not be seen as an administrative thing. It should be project. Once you advertise it.
I have two more questions, DLG.
Okay. Yes, go ahead.
As long as I'm not holding up your presentation.
No, I think it's good questions. I'm learning too.
All right.
I'm just asking everybody to test me now. Don't just listen to what I say. If you disagree with me, tell me why, and we can have a discussion.
All right. The matter of the approval of all bills, you must realize that some of the times it will have to be retroactively approved, because let's take, we meet monthly, or if we're not able to get round robin approval and we have to wait for whatever reason for the next board meeting to get approval, some payments may happen before they actually go to the board. And so it is something retroactively done.
Well, that's not approval. If it is retroactive and approval, having the authority to approve means having the authority to reject it, right? And if you're going to do it, retroactively, you are taking away the authority to do it retroactively. Yeah. A club that has a board meeting once a month should organize itself to know these are what needed to be spent over the next month, and the board can provide some advance for some projects, approval for some expenditure, and then if there's any expenditure after that, you get approval for the remainder. But for this approval, retroactive is not approval. That's not approval. That's rubber stamping, and the board is not there to rubber stamp.
Some expenses may come up just unexpectedly, for whatever reason, for whatever the situation may be. And so
that is true.
It is not.
That is true.
Yeah. So some exceptions will have to be made.
Well, I think if you run the club properly, you can avoid those.
All right. My next question, relating to the chairman. As I mentioned before about the committee, the committee makes a decision.
Yes.
And as I said before, the committee decides to undertake X project at Y place. My question is, what if the president disagrees, but the committee had already voted on it? What is the role of the president in that situation?
The president can override. The president, like the CEO,
Yeah.
The president has certain authorities that the chairman and committee doesn't have.
Okay.
And the president is supposed to use their wisdom to guide the committee. And part of the guidance is telling them, no, don't do this and do that, etc. But not to go and tell them what to do, but to give them options and to give them a framework in which they should do certain things.
Thank you. Good.
Okay. Any other questions? So I want to get clear on what the role of the board is. Okay. All right. So remember now, first, the role of the chairman. First and foremost, the club chairman is a member of the club committee for which he or she chairs, and then plays a management stroke coordination stroke delegation role and represents the committee when reporting to the club or interacting with the president. The remaining roles are therefore of the committee. Desmond, you still have your hand up? One, and we spoke, engaging stakeholders. You have to engage service leadership. Keith? Keith, you can mute. We have to engage stakeholders. We engage service leadership, clubs, engage the communities, engage members, engage partners, donors, service providers. And maybe I should add, engage some of the committees in the division. Conducting needs analysis. Yes, the service leader clubs, communities, needs analysis of members, partners, donors, even the treasurer. Now, the treasurer is the one who needs to balance the income required on the fundraising side and the expenditure required on the other projects. So therefore, the fundraising chairman has to go through the treasurer. Really, it should be the other committees, but I think it has to go through the treasurer. Is supposed to be the treasurer and the president is a link between all the committees to make sure there's a balance between inflows during the year and outflows. So the projects need X amount of money in the first 6 months. The fundraising must either find it or use what you have or start to increase your balances during the year. In planning the projects, you plan projects for the service leader clubs, projects for the communities. There's a membership. Just the recruitment is a project. Membership development, training, and so the project. Consider club meetings, interclubs, fundraising, and fellowship as well. And then fourth thing is promote, execute, report, and learn from the projects. And not just learn, but make sure the club learns from the projects. Are we okay with this? Does this cover the areas? So the entire committee is involved, but the chairman plays a managerial role.
All right. Just how does the committee and the committee chairman manage conflicts? We work together.
That's management.
We have disagreement. Yeah, but the role of the chairman in that aspect of it
is up the top, a management coordination and delegation role.
Oh, come on. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Okay. Are we okay with this? Let me ask some personal. Toshiko or Melvin, are you clear on these things? And I see some new persons join us. Desreen and Tiffany and Odine, are you clear on these things? You agree with these? Is this clear?
Yes, I do. It's clear.
Camille?
Yes, I'm clear. Yes, I'm clear.
Any specific questions about the overall role of the committee and the chairman who leads the committee?
No, I think my thing was clarified during the role of the board.
Okay, what was your thing? Let me hear your thing.
No, we used to have all the committees present every month, and it's always a very long meeting.
Waste of time. You're absolutely correct.
Waste of time.
Total waste of time.
So now I'm very clear on that. So I think that will not frustrate the board anymore once I get this information out to them.
But the chairman, what has happened to a lot of clubs now who have gone from the 4 or 5 weeks meetings a month to 2 meetings a month is that a lot of them have totally disbanded the business meeting, which is unfortunate. And I think one of the 2 meetings a month should have a business component where where the chairman or the project chairman present to the club. But the concept of the business meeting was so important, and I think and so what has happened? Some clubs have now incorporated the business meeting with the board meeting, which is a big mistake, huge mistake.
Okay, so
the board meeting should be more strategic and governance than be operational.
Right. So I think that was my
Okay.
aha moment.
I
Thank
agree
you.
with you. So President Cheryl, when is your business meeting component? How often do we does 23 CSO meet?
Yes, DLG, sorry, could you repeat?
How often does the club meet?
The regular club meeting is once per month.
So when is the business part when is the business part of the meeting? When is the business? When is the business?
We don't have a business meeting. We have a board of directors meeting, but we don't have a
right. But it's not the board alone must be hearing what the committees are presenting. It's the entire club.
What we do in our meeting, we have a section that calls Catch Me Up, and we speak to all the activities that we have had throughout the month, including board of directors and the highlights on the board of directors meeting.
Yeah, but the role of the business meeting was where the committees would come to the club members, and this is where they're held accountable by the club members on the operations of the club. So if that doesn't happen, I think it should be designed in your club format.
So are you saying, DLG, that the highlights that we give from the board meeting, which would speak to what the chairman has done, is not sufficient because the club can hold them accountable based on what they hear and did not hear?
No, but then there's no feedback in that. If it's just a catch up, there's no feedback. It's being filtered by the board. Yeah, it's really been filtered by the board, and I guess the catch up. If you want to put the catch up directly from the chairman into some sort of documentation or update on some site or something where they can get feedback, but it shouldn't be through the board meeting. It should be directly to the members.
Not a problem. Thank you. We'll look at it.
Yes, and especially when you have 1 meeting a month, you have to be a little more flexible. Yes, DLG, Keith.
Right, DLG, Bobby. The dilemma that has been created is with the 3-2-1 club, as you know, the one mean one time for the month, and it's also defined for 1 hour, and 1 hour in of itself. And remember, for clubs back in the day when most clubs then had to do 4 meetings, weekly meetings for that matter. Now, you were able to plan because you have your business meeting entirely dedicated to the business of the club. And then you would have the other types of meeting that they encourage you to have to attract, educate, inform members outside of say the Kiwanis activity. Now with the 3-2-1 is 1 meeting for the month, and it's supposed to be 1 hour. So to pack a business meeting in that and then offer whether it be entertainment or other forms of education and growth going to be challenging. So it's something we would have to look at and see how.
I agree with you. I think a 3-2-1 was a very bad idea from Kiwanis. It was not intended to improve the overall impact of Kiwanis. It was intended to bring in more money for the coffers of international and to suck in more clubs so they can pay dues for international. It wasn't meant, and there was no thinking about a club and how you impact your community and so forth. And so therefore, having said that and being online, you may need to have online, when I say online interaction, not necessarily a meeting, but maybe sometime during the month, an interactive thing where your chairman present online, and then you can get feedback from the members. But it will be more than 3-1. They have to be something else. But as I said, I never did agree to 3-1. I think there's a little couple just to get more clubs to think and to get more money. They didn't think it out through. I don't think they thought it out through. So therefore, you have to adjust and make sure. But what has happened now is that the board meetings have become business meetings instead of real board meetings, and that's not good. Even clubs that meet 4 times a week are still using the board meetings as business meetings, and that's not good either. All right, Desmond, your hand is still up, or you just left it up? Okay.
But you know, am I holding up your time, DLG?
No.
Okay,
I'm
okay.
sure everybody's learning from questions, because
Yeah,
I
you
certainly
see,
am.
right. Persons have been, for the business meetings, some clubs tend to have their meetings quarterly. And the problem I have with that is that you're not allowing the members to be apprised of what has happened over the period, or on the shortest period, let's say on a monthly basis, of course, and so that they can ask questions and make meaningful contributions.
Absolutely.
And when we extend it to every 3 months,
What, at the business meeting?
it loses its effectiveness. Some of the things could have been corrected in an earlier basis. And some of the problems that I see with that is that there's a tendency to report on the last month rather than capturing the last 3 months.
Well, you see, the business meeting wasn't only about the last month, Business meeting was about the last month and the next 3 months as well.
All right.
The business meeting is supposed to be forward looking as well as backward looking.
All right, fine.
And really, when we started the twice a month thing, what we suggested that the odd, since members couldn't come out to more than, let us have 4 meetings a month. First meeting was a board meeting. Second meeting, third meeting was a committee meeting where all members would attend, and it's just planning, internal planning, and then the second and fourth week was pretty much the regular club meetings. But the business meeting is the heart of running the club, and the board meeting is the heart of growing the club. That's exactly what it is. And when you try to put them together, running the club will take over, and then there's no growth. You lose focus on growth. But we are usually more comfortable, with running things than growing things. So, all right. One of the things I think I left out here for chairman is that the chairman needs to have objectives for the year too. And the objectives, as a matter of fact, the president should actually set objectives for the chairman and the committee, and then the chairman and committee develop the plan and execute the plan to achieve on the objective. So, for example, the membership chair may say, for the membership committee, let's look at some of the objectives, as opposed to, let me write something here. Okay, so let's duplicate. Let's look at some possible objectives. So committee objectives. What sort of committee objectives can be set at the beginning of the year? What are the committees? Let's say the fundraising committee. What can it be set? What sort of objectives can a president set for the fundraising committee for the year? Anybody?
To be able to deliver or to execute your projects with a cost included.
No, man, that's what they're going to do. What is
Yeah,
the result? What
the
is the
result.
outcome of what's the result? Yeah,
Okay, the
objectives mean
outcome.
result.
All right, the outcome.
Objectives mean results.
The
Right.
outcome, yes, the outcome is really what you have set out to establish, and at the end of the day,
No, but what? Give me an example. Somebody give me an example of objectives of the fundraising committee. Anybody?
Hello.
Cheryl, have you set any objectives for your fundraising committee?
In terms of yes, we have, because we would have had, we know we have to fund all the other
Yes.
committees. So yes, we have. And
So
we
give me an
have,
example. Just use any words you want to use.
or use one word.
No, so raise
X amount of funds, yes.
$1 million, right? Let's say
Yes.
$1 million, right? And let's say you could say evenly over 4 quarters. Okay.
I was about to add that. Two
Yeah.
main fundraisers and
No. You don't need to tell them 2 main. Just tell them that and leave the rest of them.
Well, we have and we have new chairmen, so we have to kind
Hold on, Cheryl. Start with the objective. Let's assume that the chairmen are very seasoned.
Okay,
right?
sorry.
If the chairman or not, we can help them in their own planning.
Right.
But here's the fundraising committee, raise $1 million, even over 4 quarters. And that's it. That's it. Understand? That's strictly was the right. Secondly,
that's fine.
Let's go to membership committee. All right. What are some of the what are some of the objectives?
Well, our main focus for membership is retention, not so much on recruitment as
but what is the objective?
To engage our members.
No, engage an active verb. What is the outcome? No active verbs here, because raising $1 million is not an active verb.
Membership.
So 0 growth?
No, we have 3 net growth. 3.
Okay. So net growth of 3. All right, that is 1. Net growth of 3. What else?
Well, as I said, that's pretty much it, and our focus on recruitment. Not recruitment.
No. Hold on. Recruitment is how you get there. Hold on. You say you get into the activity now. Let's stop thinking activity and just thinking outcome. At the end of the year, we want a net growth of 3. Is that all you want from membership? What else you want? What else we want from the membership committee? Not what they to do. What are they to achieve?
Get sponsors.
Support for the members.
But support is an active verb. What is the result of the support?
Educated member.
What is the result of an educated member?
Happy and contented membership.
Okay, so let's say a second, the member satisfaction score, member survey score. Let's say you have done it already, to increase by 10%. By 10 percentage points, right? Let's say it was 60 last year, going to be 70 this year. That's fine. What else? That's one more.
I can't think of anything else. My brain busting now.
All right. Let's say the percent of active members. What's the difference between an active members and a non-active member? How do you define an active member? How would you define an active member? If you want to be very specific.
Director, help me here.
Anybody ever thought about how you define an active member?
Can I add that? The annual dues.
So they meet the financial obligation, meet their financial obligations. Okay, that's one. What else?
60%.
10 meetings.
Attend at least 1 meeting a month.
Participate in projects.
At least 1 meeting. 1 meeting
per month.
1 project. 1 interclub. 1 interclub. and 1 fellowship a month. Okay? Per month. If you if you had that, would you, right? So percent active members, let me write it this way, right? We write that right now. Okay, net growth of 3, right? Then member surveys score increased by 10 percentage points, and the percent active members, right? So let's say it's now increase from, it's correct, maybe it's 25% now to 40%. So that you can have something like that now, if you know where you are now, right? Isn't that what could you set these for your membership committee?
We actually do, DLG. We have how many, all of what you have there, we have it, numbers beside each of them.
For this?
Yeah, for membership, in terms of how many projects, meeting, and so on, we want the members to
what's your percent active membership now? In the first, when did the club start?
50%.
Do you know for sure? Do you really measure, Cheryl, or are you just talking?
No, I'm not talking there, G, because we know how many members we have in the club and we know how many persons.
No, but do you report it to the board, or do we discuss this to see if there's a problem?
Yes, we do.
Normally, but we noting it, we can include it in that format.
No, but what I'm saying, don't say you're doing it if you're not doing it, because sometimes people say they're doing it, and
we are doing it, DLG, but
if I showed you, so Cheryl, if you showed me your goals at the beginning of the year, they would include these things?
If I show you what?
Your goals at the beginning of the year, would they include these things?
And I said, yes, it does.
So what else are your goals then?
In terms of membership?
No, anything. What are your goals? Because your goals can be...
ensure that we meet all our financial obligations, to ensure that we have engage in meetings and impactful projects, to ensure...
How do you know that? How is that an objective? How do you know if a meeting is engaging and impactful?
We have it written that way in terms of when we want to have it by in the goals and how we're going
to... No, but you see, saying that's not a goal, you know. That's a wish. That's a wish. Right? These 3 are goals. The raise 1 million is a goal. Net growth of 3 is a goal. Improve membership satisfaction survey score is a goal. Right? Say that you're having meeting all obligations is a goal, because you have to meet all of it by December and so on. But what are all dues paid up already? They were due on October 1. Have everybody paid the dues? Has everybody paid the dues? Did you set a target? What percent of members should pay the dues by, say, October 15th? Have we set those targets? No, I'm just saying, guys, if you don't have it, don't say that you're doing it already now. All right, what other committee? YCPO? YCPO membership committee. YCPO committee. What would be the objectives you give to the committee at the beginning of the year? For example, do we have actual specific objectives for these committees? Not what they should do, you know, but what they are to achieve. Anybody in South St. Catherine? How could we possibly set indicators for specific objectives and say, here are your objectives, now go and develop your plan to deliver on the objectives? That's what it's supposed to do, not to do the plan for them.
What I'm trying to say to you is,
yes,
you don't have it in a structured form where it is written down or so. But even for the same SLP and other committees, at the beginning of the year,
yes,
we had meetings where I had meeting with the director and the chair one-on-one to say, this is what the committee is about and this is what I would like to see happening.
I know, but what did you give them specific objectives as opposed to general guidelines?
It might, in some cases, it might be general, in others.
Okay, so the point is we should stop the general guidelines now, but give them specific objectives and then the training and support to meet the objectives. So I want us to separate it. And we need to be clear that these things represent growing the club, right? When you start talk about recruitment, that is running club. Net growth of 3 is growing the club. Improving membership satisfaction is growing the club. Improving membership involvement is growing the club, right? And so therefore, let us set some growing objectives as opposed to some running objectives. And the president must have growing objectives, very clear in terms of numbers, because at the end of the year, it's the only way you can measure, because otherwise, if you said things like, let's have meaningful and impactful, it becomes a guess if you have achieved them, right? So these are some of the things we need to be very clear on. Set clear, specific objectives. And presidents, I know not just you, Cheryl, but presidents have this bad habit of saying some general things in their goals on what they want, and LGs do it too. And the other thing is that presidents are not there to help LGs, right? A problem when I see presidents are setting their objectives to support the LG. That is rubbish. It's the other way around. LGs must set their objectives to help presidents. Huh?
DLG, as a teaching moment,
yes.
Could you allow me to just bring up my goals and as a teaching moment, just
yes.
use one to tell me, right? Could you allow me to share, please? And then you can tell me the better phrase it.
You want to write it for me? Speak it for me?
All right. The first one said, well, they said that one's a goal already. We have to have a net growth of 3 by the second quarter of the administration.
Yeah,
and I went on to say how we would do that.
Right.
The other one says to ensure all our financial obligations are settled on or before the due date. Based on what you're saying that's not a specific goal?
No, that is specific. You say on us, all financial obligations settled on time.
All right.
That's what you're saying. That's great.
Another one says to promote and host at least 2 member educational / leadership sessions during the 2021-22 administrative year.
That's an activity. That's not an objective.
Okay.
To host 2 member membership
educational / leadership sessions.
Suppose only 1 member turn up. UK said yes, we had 2 educational things, but 1 member turn up. Did it really meet your required objective? No, your objective should be.
Can I ask then? Just based on what you're saying, rephrase that to be a specific goal for me.
What are you trying to achieve with this activity? What are you trying to achieve?
Educate our members.
Actually being a new club with new members.
So I would say how you could do that is
it's part of the membership satisfaction thing, to ensure that
improve member awareness and understanding of Kiwanis and etc. And you have to measure it. You have to measure it, right? And you have to measure their understanding by increasing from, let's say, X percentage awareness score to Y% awareness score, right? Right. And you can do a survey once a year and include all the questions you want to measure their satisfaction, measure their awareness, measure their involvement, measure everything. And you're impacting a score, right? So let's say your current score when you start is 45, you want to include that to 65 during the year, and that's growing the club.
All right, so let me see now, DLG. I'm going to read what I have for this one, and I'm going to rephrase it based on what you're saying.
Right.
All right, so what another one says, currently what it is says, to host interesting and engaging club meetings by hosting topics of relevance and interest that will allow participation and interaction. And you're going to say that's a wish. So the goal then could be same thing, to improve member attendance at meetings by X% or move it from 1% to another percent by hosting whatever.
Yeah, member attendance increase. All right, that is one.
Right.
From X to Y.
Right.
Or you could say member satisfaction score, interesting, member satisfaction survey score, excitedness, meeting interest and excitement, right? Increased from X to Y. But it's you can only, to know exactly if the meetings are better, you have to ask the members to rate it. Maybe you rate a meeting after once a week and run the survey once a week, so you can track it regularly, or you run the survey once a quarter to track it, and you don't wait until the end of the year. So if after quarter one you're getting a feedback score of 4 to 5, you need to go back to the drawing board and change how your meetings are done. And that's part of growing the club. But just running the club and having the meetings is part of running the club. So it's important that you use feedback from the members. Are they excited? Are they involved? Are they engaged? And find out why. It's always important to find out why. And if you know what the problem is, to fix it. Maybe something that you're not using them enough, and you find a way to use them more. Maybe find that the meetings, maybe there's too much Kiwani stuff. You want to hear more about topical things. Maybe they want to hear more about Kiwani's things. It depends. You need to understand, you need to keep your pulse on the club as a president. Right? And so somehow keeping your pulse has got to have some sort of feedback loop. Right? And you can run these little surveys regularly enough. You have these short surveys where you can ask, and you're online already, just send to people's phone, and every month they have a feedback on the project, they have a feedback on it. Use that. That is the best way to keep your finger on the pulse and respond accordingly. And then you go to the board meeting and you discuss these and see how the club is performing and how we must fix or change or adjust to improve performance. That's how the board must help you. But you have to have some quantitative figures and some specific things. Because I say, any club, as president, you leave the club in a better condition than you found it. And you have to show that you actually, I asked that of LG one year, and I was pounced upon by members of his club and cussed off. I think it was Desmond. And unfortunately, But the question I just asked, a simple question: did you leave the division in a better condition that you found it? And I was cussed. But that is the role of LG as well. LG should leave a division in a better position than they found it. And the only way to know is to have some specific indicators. It's not about what you do, because you can do a lot of things and work hard and you just don't improve the club. So, yeah, you must find a way where, with online clubs, just find a way how you can measure and get feedback. Yes, Desmond.
Just for clarification, there's a view at times that we report to the president reports to the LG, or the LG is in charge of all of us. That is one little point. There's another point also that directors are in charge of committees, and so chairmen report to directors. Can you comment on both of them individually?
Well, first of all, the only role that the LG plays is support the club, right? It cannot direct the club, and the clubs are independent, right? Clubs are independent. Division, district, and international. You can see in the objects that there's no role of a district or a division. There's role of Kiwanis International and the clubs. Those came later. And they're just there for support. They're not the club. The president don't report to LG. The LG can't tell the president what projects to do or what not to do or ask any permission, right? The DCM becomes the divisional council, and it's called a council of presidents. The DCM is really a forum for the presidents to interact with each other, and then everybody else come. But sadly, it is being taken over too much by the LG. It's really the president's meeting. And too often I see presidents believe that they must meet goals to support the LGs. Total rubbish that. The LG's purpose is to support the president in meeting their goals. Now, if you want to have a director assigned as a board assigned to a committee, is there to support the committee and support the chairman. But the chairman is definitely the leader of the committee.
Thank you.
Yes, Madam President.
Yeah, I just want to say, based on the comment you made just now about the division, the LG supporting the clubs, and it's not just for this current year. For some time now, since I've been in Kiwanis, based on how the whole structure is set up, it's more a thing where the clubs are supporting the LG and is not an option. Even the way our things are set, you have, for instance, you have the LG quarterly criteria and those kind of things. The way they are set up is you are mandated to do certain things if you want to qualify for certain things. So you and usually those things are written in a way so that the division is able, or even the district is able to meet their goal. And so invariably you end up doing things to support them and not them the other way around.
No, hold on. First of all, the goals of Kiwanis clubs really shouldn't change, right? You want to increase service, and you want to increase membership involvement, and you want to increase impact. Those are the three things that really shouldn't change from year to year. And for the left one, they want to increase membership in their division. They want to increase service and they want to increase impact. And for the district, it's the same thing. But the problem is when LGs start to put in their own projects, put in their own things, like when Pam put in a thing
but that's what I'm saying, Dale.
And it's not right. I agree with Cheryl, it's not right. That's not their role. That's not their role. That's not their role. I have seen it, you know, when you see a division, have a division church meeting, church service, and it coincides, our divisional projects, which is even worse, it coincides with our contracts with other things. It's really bad, and that's not the purpose of the division. The division is there to totally support each president in meeting their goals. And that's what, as a matter of fact, what has also happened is that the committees within divisions now feel that they are supervising the committees in the thing, which is the biggest, you know, they set their own criteria rather than say a YCPO division committee has one purpose, but to make sure YCPO committees meet their goals in the individual clubs. But then they start.
And so, DLG, when the division YCPO committee is setting those things, I believe that the other stakeholders in the form of the YCPO persons from the club should be involved, so that because they know what it is that they need. So they should be part of the discussion in putting those things together, not it being done and then sent to you to say this is what you must do.
Absolutely. I think the Lieutenant Governors for the longest time, and Keith can bear me so too. They have really missed the point. I've been making the point for a long time, but nobody listening to me. Yeah, that's what they should be needs analysis. You are the clients. The club is the client. Club is the client, not the other way around. And so there should be no needs analysis and then come up with projects to meet your needs and meet the needs of the committee. And furthermore, you don't need to be part of any competition the division put out, you know. As a matter of fact, if you don't want to be part of the chin life or any of those companies, you don't need to be there, need to be that. Those are not in the objects of Kiwanis International. You have your goals, and that's your goals. If you feel you want to be part of the commission on the competition, fine. But if you don't want to be part, you don't need to be part of that. Oh, Keith has his hand up.
Thank you.
Joy, you're saying something?
I agree with you, DLGE. Something I've been promoting in my club quite a number of years as well.
Yes.
The first that I've said that the club need not be doing things to satisfy distinguished criteria. We might
Right.
for a particular year, a particular objective, and that objective could very well be one is international, which is to may not necessarily be a net growth, because for that year we may actually look at right sizing the club based on the skills and capabilities.
Right.
But also as mentioned, not necessarily get into the individual competition at the divisional level.
Right.
We could growing the club in terms of direction where we want to go. We are focusing
Absolutely.
on our ICPO for these particular type projects. And so,
Absolutely. Absolutely. See, I put in those things just to earn money from the club. Is that money grabbing? International is involved in money grabbing more than anything else. And I say that without any fear of contradiction. If they were really interesting, they would be measuring impact, but instead they're measuring membership, because membership is tied directly to the funds that they get. And they have no interest or show no interest in impact. It's all about membership and new membership and new clubs. Fine, that is one way to grow, you know, right? But go ahead and form new clubs and if you want, encourage new members and so forth.
DLG is one way to grow. But while you might grow in one area, you're actually not growing, because a lot of the existing clubs are defunct and dysfunctional. Yeah. And so you bring on a new club and you have 10 that is going, nothing is happening. So they don't have impact, and they might become distinguished on paper, but they're not distinguished in service.
Yeah, but don't separate, don't combine one with the other. It's two different things. Fixing dysfunctional clubs have nothing to do with shouldn't stop it from forming new clubs.
But I don't agree with the DLG, because if, for instance, let's say 23 CSO, and let's use SLPs. Let's say we have 10 SLP clubs.
Yes.
And 6 of those SLPs are dysfunctional and they are not doing the projects, them not properly formed, them board and all those kind of things. And we decided that we're going to have one more make 11. I believe it would have been more impactful and more meaningful if we fix those 5 that we have failing.
Oh, from that standpoint. I thought it meant from the club standpoint.
Before adding an 11-1 to say.
Well, I don't think that you should have been approved of that additional one, because you can't form any without approval. And the lieutenant governor should know. And that's a problem, you see. That's the purpose of the lieutenant governor. If you have all these dysfunctional clubs, lieutenant governor should not encourage the approval of another one. And they're not doing that job.
We're doing this even with adult clubs, because you have clubs forming new adult clubs, and those same clubs have adult young children club where not really functioning properly. And we are still allowed to go ahead and form these clubs.
No, nothing wrong with, look, first of all, Jamaica has a population of 3 million. And I would say about 25%, or about 750,000 people, are poor and need support. And even when they add in Rotary lands, everybody, we're not scratching nearly 2 or 3%. I think you did a thing. Even if you had 10 times the amount of Kiwanis clubs and all of them were working perfectly, we still would not be meeting the demand. So right now we're not meeting demand. There's a huge demand out there. We have a supply problem. And we need to fix our existing clubs, and we need to grow new clubs, and we need to fix our members and get new members. But just because we are not fixing our existing members and not fixing our existing clubs doesn't mean we should stop going up. Not one or the other. Both must be done.
I'm not saying that we should stop growing, Deji, but I think we need to fix what's happening before we start, because invariably what happens, for instance, when in our year, when we thought about as presidents whether or not we wanted to add another adult club to the division, we told the LG that year, most of us presidents, if not all, so we're not going to form a club to form a club's sake.
Like the presidents can decide on that. That's not the role of the president.
Like you say, if it is that there is a need, then we try to fill that void, but we're not going to just build a club. So
no,
us,
Cheryl, the presidents have no authority to tell LG they don't want another club. You can decide to form a club.
Hold on, DLG. Contextualize, please, and understand what I'm saying.
Yes.
As a club, I can decide with my board
that
I want, or we want as a board to have a new club.
Yes.
No, the LG at the time, based on his mandate, he had, I think they have it this year too, where they're asking to open new adult club. So when that conversation came up, most of us president were where I was to say, listen, our intention was not to add another club to our pool because of what we're seeing that we at this time what we wanted to do, which is why I'm focusing on retention and not so much
no, but Cheryl, your club members have no such authority to say that.
To say what?
To say that you don't want another club in the division.
Well, of course, because as a president, I'm not going to form a club that you can't sustain.
No, but you cannot tell another club not to form a club. You cannot tell.
That's what I'm saying, LG. I'm not saying that at all.
If you say you don't want to form another club, that's fine. Right? But if another club said they want to form another club, all the other presidents in division have no say in that.
Saying you're not listening, LG. I was never saying that. I'm saying that my club in particular, when I was president, Constant Spring, it was never my intention, and that's what I promoted to the board, who agreed with me that we would not have been forming at the time an adult club. And we had the reasons of as I said, the dysfunction I want to fix, and the certain places are always saturated, and in a sense, form a club in that area, and blah blah blah. The other 11 presidents at the time that I was president, I didn't tell them not to do it. I'm saying when the conversation came up, they were at the same place I was in saying that they had no intention either.
And I think that is selfish, That is a bit selfish.
However, eventually, and we weren't being selfish, we had our reasons and they were justifiable. At the end of the day, though, we end up forming this very same club that I'm president of, because when
hold on, Cheryl. Hold on. Tell me something. If I'm a new member, I have the choice of either joining one of the dysfunctional clubs or joining a fresh new club that I can help to grow. Which I think I, as an incoming member, would prefer.
I figure you'd want to join a club that you have an opportunity to grow, but you alone can't make that club grow, DLG.
No, but several members. If several members, 10 of us said, boy,
that's why you allow me to finish. And that's why I'm saying to you, having had that position, most of us present in my year, that based on what was happening at the time, wasn't our attention. We eventually formed a new club 23, online that I'm currently president of, because we saw where there were some members in a particular location who wanted to join the club, and the location that they were at, we thought at the time that area was also underserved, and a number of other things that made us say, even though
do you think there's any area in Jamaica is not underserved? The entire Kingston is underserved. The entire Constant Spring is underserved.
That's true.
The entire Ligamy is underserved.
Let's be specific now. I can tell you that while Kingston is underserved and Constant Spring is underserved, St. Thomas is even more underserved. And
every parish is underserved,
Yeah,
we need more clubs.
But there are some more underserved than others.
No, but we still are. Every single parish is underserved. Jamaica is extremely underserved. We're not even serving 5% of the population that needs serving. So instead of talking about let's not form new clubs, right? Let us form new clubs, yes, and let us and the LGs must make sure those clubs perform. That's the role of the LGs. And the LGs must also fix it for other clubs and sometimes tell them they must close. Now, some of these clubs need to close, and that's the biggest problem. Some of the clubs are not closing. No, thank goodness Moran Bay closed, Mona closed, but others don't want to close and should be closed for a long time.
We'll agree to disagree on
Yeah,
this
man.
point.
But we have a lot of underserved people. Nearly over 500,000 people in the country is underserved. We don't have it. We don't have the capacity. Even if all our clubs were doing a very
We
good job.
build these clubs from year to year and we don't give them the support. And I certainly still
Who
stand
said
that
it?
we should not be doing that at all.
No, but what I'm saying, Cheryl, don't combine the two things. I think I understand what you're saying, but you think that as a LG, we should either be building new clubs or fixing old clubs. And it's not a choice. Right, Keith?
I wasn't saying that at all. What I'm saying is, if you're not going to fix the old club, them, if you're not going to give the old club the support, if you're not going to do what needs to be done to maintain them, it is counterproductive to form new ones and do the same thing, not give them support. That's what I'm saying.
Why? Let's say you have half of the clubs in the country are fine and half are not fine. So therefore, every 10 new clubs you form, 5 will do a good job and 5 do a bad job. Are you saying let's not form any clubs because of those 5 bad ones going in the future?
No, DLG. I'm saying try to fix the 5 bad ones you have rather than add another one to the 5 good ones.
No, why do you say rather than? Why is it a choice, Cheryl? Keith, it is not a choice. It's something you have to do both things. You're looking at it as a choice. It's not a choice. You have to do both things.
It's a reality. It would be good if we could form new clubs and support the others and try to get
but
them.
Why do you think it's a choice? It's not a choice, Cheryl. It's not a choice.
So DLG, may I ask you a question?
Yes.
Are you saying then, and I'm going to stop because me and you want to manipulate the conversation, but you're saying that if we have 10 clubs, whether SLPs or adult clubs, and we are not supporting the clubs, and so they're failing, and year after year, we'll find more clubs are coming more dysfunctional and things are happening. You're saying it's okay for us to add to that batch and end up having another dysfunctional club.
But while you're getting those dysfunctional clubs, some of the clubs will be functional, and that's what I'm trying to tell you. I know what Keith did, and I know how Keith tried to work. As LGs, we have worked on both sides, and we probably spend more time working this, right, Keith? We spend more time working in dysfunctional clubs than we work with new clubs. But we can't just focus on.
Not true. That's not true.
No, LG, Keith, you tell me.
No, I'm not talking
where
about
did you spend more time?
I'm saying as a general, it's not necessarily true.
But most of the LGs I know, trust me.
1 year a club was formed, and the very same year, even before the year done, the club was defunct. When 23
that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean you're not working in the defunct club.
It means
no, Cheryl, you cannot choose one little exception to make a general point. As LGs, we have to balance the two. Because if we say we're not forming any new clubs, while let's say we form 10 new clubs, 5 may work and 5 may not work. It's better to form 10 and you have 5 that work than to form none and you have no more that work. And at the same time, you're working.
We'll agree to disagree.
Yes. Okay. So Udesi, what's you have a point there?
So my question then is, when the clubs fail or succeed,
yes,
in this point, in this conversation, well, if it can be called that, it appears that the focus is on the fact that some clubs fail. Have we found out why they're failing or have failed?
Yeah, there's a general idea why they fail.
And why is it that the club was formed with a specific focus or a specific goal, but that was not the need in that area at the time?
So, okay.
So I would like to ask the question, do you understand when a club fails? Because it is okay for clubs to fail, I think.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's just
Right.
that if when they do we understand why? Because if we do not understand why they fail, then we are bound to keep repeating the same errors and so it will lead to a stream of frustration, as opposed to when it failed, why did it fail?
Okay. A club could decide, I just want to do one project a quarter and have a fellowship every week. And that could be fine. And some people might say that's a failure, and they might say this is what we want. And if we help in one or two people for the year, that's fine. So there are different benchmarks for failure and for thing, right? There are different benchmarks. There are different benchmarks. Some people feel as long as I have somewhere to fellowship and do a project every now and then, we're fine. No, pass and fail is dependent on your goals that you set.
Correct.
If you set your own goals, it's your own standards. The problem is we are seen and we want to set the same standard for every club. And that's what some of these scoring and these contests are for. Some people are quite happy doing one or two projects a year, and they're quite happy meeting, and the members are fine, and they don't want anything more than that. Why should we bother get involved in all that? So there are different standards for failure and for pass. And the clubs themselves are the ones who must decide whether they're going to close. Nobody has the authority to close the clubs, right? Or to tell them that they're not performing. They said their standards, they're fine. So, and yes, or as LGs, we try to understand. We have had discussions. Last year, LG tried to, measure, had that first meeting where she discussed what are the issues, and everybody knows the issues. Everybody knows the issues. Some members just don't have the commitment. Some members don't find it exciting. Even some very large clubs with over 200, you might find 25 persons turning up at a meeting with 10% of the club members, but that look far more vibrant than a club with 5 or 6 members, which might be 20% of their club membership, right? But then we start to compare because one club has more people and so forth. So we know what's the issue. As LGs, I know a lot of LGs who try the best. But I think we need to find a way to balance out trying to help the other clubs and trying to grow the division. Clubs don't want to merge. Clubs want to maintain their identity. Clubs don't want to come to close down. Clubs believe that they're going to try the best, and every year they commit to do better this year, and then it wanes towards the end of the year. Yes, that happens, but they're not ready to lock up shop yet, and they continue to do what they're doing. Sometimes it's better to do a little project or two than no project at all. So I wouldn't push that too much, but if we really want growth, I think we should get more clubs and more members in. But the problem now is that we start to cannibalize members, and members like myself went more than one club, and there's a facade that there's more members, but if we are counted as 2 people, then that's a problem. But I understand what Shirley's saying, that there appears not to be. Boy, I know that when I tried. I know Keith tried as well too, and I know efforts that are made, and some clubs just decide what is it they want. Yes, President.
Thank you, DLG. I wanted to respond to this question about if we have looked to see what is causing the clubs to fail. And again, some people might not agree with me, but to be honest, what has been happening in a lot of instances is that we're forming clubs, and I don't have any issue with forming clubs, because like you said, DLG, there is a need. We're really underserved most areas. But the fact is, most of us that are forming clubs are not doing it because of a need. And that's my problem. We're doing it because we want to be distinguished. And so we form these clubs, and the necessary support, while the clubs themselves will have goals and so on, especially when you have a lot of new members in the club needs support. And a lot of times they are not getting the support that they should get, which is why they end up failing, despite whatever goals they have there. And the whole point of trying to be distinguished, whether to meet the district, the division, the district or KI goal, is part of the problem why some of these clubs are failing, because we just form them because we want to distinguish from people.
That's a very good point, Cheryl. And I must say, and Keith might agree with me, I think sometimes our division tend to have all these committees that to me are a waste of time. What we should have is a lieutenant governor with a set of persons inside there who are there only for club support and nothing else. I don't think we need a YCPO committee, the inter-club committee. I don't think we need all those divisional committees. I think what we need is the club, there's the LG, and then the support specific for clubs. Rather than one committee doing the YCPO, should have somebody who is assigned to a club and help to prevent that. And then now, like, our committee, the PLG committee as well to be used. And it should be for specifically for club support, not for any specific project or for any specific item. I think that's if LG see themselves as what Cheryl is talking about, how can you fix the clubs? And if that's your fundamental role of fixing the clubs, and then our DCM should reflect simply fixing clubs. Because once clubs are fixed, everything is fine enough. But I think again we lose our purpose at division level. Yes, Cheryl, I agree that if we focus on fixing clubs, and then we report on how well clubs are fixed. But when a club comes to report, there's no indication that club is having problems. So we have this nice report comes up and we have to go through it and it don't mean a thing. And then we go to all sort of things, have this person report, that person present, that person present. DCMs don't add value again as they used to. So, any other questions as we go on? So, let me just move on here to the engagement. We need to engage. We engage because what we do is for the benefit of our stakeholders, right? We must keep in touch with them to understand their needs. Even though, for example, even though Kiwan it requires us to do a needs analysis, a community needs analysis, we should assume that community covers a wide gamut of our stakeholders. So we need to do an analysis for our donors. What do they need so that they can help us provide funds? What does the SLP needs? What does other stakeholders need? And it's not just once a year. We should continue engaging right throughout the year. Even touching base once a month. Project planning, we must be clear why you want to take in this project. Who is the project intended to help? Where should the project be? I know, like your club is online. There's a time when clubs are given geographical areas. Your club doesn't have a geographical areas, but your club has no challenge in helping any group of any community they want. There's no restriction. Nobody says you can't go anywhere. You can have a project wherever you want, right? Nothing says that you can't go to Content Spring, or you can't go to Ligani, or you can't go to St. Thomas, or you can't go anywhere you want, right? However, it is my just courtesy that if you're going into somewhere in EK in Port Royal, you might speak to EK parents. We're doing a project in Port Royal just for consultation. What are the project objectives or impact? Rather than say painting a crosswalk, you should say the objective is to make it safer for pedestrians to cross the road. And when you start to form it in that way, make it clearly what is it, right? how to make the project sustainable without Kiwanis. All right, projects were never intended to be continuous. You know, if we are real to transform the world one community and one child at a time, doing a feeding program is not going to help, because you feed someone today, they're hungry tomorrow. You haven't changed the state. You haven't transformed them. And we need to think of our projects that are transformative, that will make a difference so you can move on elsewhere. But when they get so dependent on you, you are really not transforming them. You are actually supporting their dependency. So instead of, you know, feeding and giving a man a fish, you teach them how to fish. That should be the approach in developing our projects. In addition to the sustainability. Now the question is, as a club, is it better to do a project with 100 children or with one child? Which one is better to spend your efforts? A project that will make one child life different, or a project that will make 100 children temporary different? You give somebody a gift, give 100. You have a thing at Christmas where you want to feed 100 people, or you give a little toy to all these people, or should you focus on one or two children to make the life different? Huh?
More impactful, yes.
Our defense statement does mention one child, one community at a time. So if you, by virtue of the word transform, that one child being transformed is better than
Exactly. You could get a child and somehow take them out of the very dire situation that they are in. You know, you could find a child now who hasn't been going to school for 2 years, and through the community and through the parents, you work and somehow you get this child back on track in education. And that could take up more effort, but at least you have made a difference. But a lot of projects at Kiwanis, we don't really make a difference. We don't make a difference. Do we really make a difference in most of the projects that we have? Do we really transform? We need to really think about it. Sometimes we feel that the more children, you know, there's somewhere in the report that says how many persons are impacted. But impacted is a slight impact, right? I mean, you could build a little, you could paint a school, and you say, well, 100 children at this school are better off. But really, have you transformed any of them? Or is it better to find one or two whose conditions are totally bad at home, and you work and transform them, and a year later they are totally different, they have serious improvement? You know, how should we manage the little resources that we have? Now, we have limited resources as a club, right? And we should really consider, have we really transformed lives? You know, when I come to some clubs and I talk, oh yes, I spoke to this guy, we had a talk one day and we transformed their lives. Rubbish. You can't have a talk and you transform the lives. Sometimes they don't listen to you, right? Real transformation, if you really think about it. Are children much, much better off? Or is a family much, much better off? Family are sleeping outside and you somehow, you know, build a new house and they're now in good condition. Their lives have been changed, right? But you have to decide what projects will be transformative, and it's better to do one or two transformative projects for the year than doing all these multiple projects just to satisfy the needs of the members. To say that I did some today, or I did this, or I did that, or I did that. We should really make meaningful transformation. Do we have any transformation projects this year in either South St. Catherine or in 23 CSO? I'm sure South St. Catherine has some transformative projects over the years. 23 CSO is young. I know Keith at Stony Hill has had some transformative projects. Desmond has had some. But not all the projects are transformative. But we should focus on more and more and more and more being transformative. Nothing will stop you from having something at Christmas. That helps. But that is not transformative. That is fine and nice and so forth. But how can we focus on getting some transformative projects? That's what we are really are about. Yes, there, Desmond.
The feeding of the homeless is not a transformative project, right?
No, it's not. It's not.
But we do it. And what is your response, your reaction to clubs who really have that in their program monthly?
They're not transforming anybody, and they could use the resources better to transform.
Yeah.
Because you have limited resources now. Should you spend your money on the non-transformative ones, or should you spend your money and resources on the transformative ones? You have a choice now, not like you have deep pockets.
Yeah.
And a lot of time of your members. So you have limited resources. You want to maximize the use of your resources. Sandrine, you're saying something?
Not at all. That was an accident.
Okay.
Let me take it on my hand.
Keith, I know about Stony Hill, I've seen where you guys have transformed people. I mean, I remember when I was LG, it was Sharon, and we put some people in a different living conditions. For example, I remember. You remember? They have to build a different living area for some people, remember? Or you can mention any others?
Also build like chicken coop and start up supply chicken for
Yes,
farmer.
you bring up chicken coop, or you put some people in business and set them on their way, right? So they actually set them on their way to become self-sufficient. And that is some of the things that even that is transformative, right? I remember that one too. Those are some symbols, but you set them on their way. Rather than begging now, they have a capacity to earn their own money, and that makes them totally different. When you are self-sufficient, it's a totally different person you are, and you can take you forward better. But we have to consider, because transforming one child and one, most of the command projects are not transforming one child. It's just let us do a thing, and that's essentially our approach. Let us do a thing. Let us do some activities. Maybe we should have maybe we should have something objectives. At least one child has been totally transformed, or one family or something. We can set that objective before we decide on the project, you know what I mean? And if you set that as an objective, right, then the project will come out. Once you set the objective first, the project will come out. But if you have no objective, any project will be done just for the sake of doing a project. Project should have purpose, a lot more purpose and a lot more sustainability. Have a breakfast feeding program. If that can increase the attendance at school and increase the the performance of the children over time. That is transformative. And then you have to get a way to know, get others involved so you can pull out, so it can sustain without you. You know, if you link up the school to some suppliers and the parents and everybody, they can organize to get it going after, but just you start it. And after a while, you'll show that the attendance at the school increases, the attendance scores have increased, and maybe over a year or so, but still, those are transformative projects. And then you move on to somewhere else. Okay. We must be clear on the inputs and processes, and we must always describe how the project will be evaluated. So even as Cheryl started to set her goals, in setting Cheryl's goals for the year, Cheryl's need to be set, and the board will make sure Cheryl set how they're going to evaluate Cheryl and the club. And now Cheryl is just the club, right? During the year and once the year is completed, so you need to describe, you must evaluate, did the project meet its objective? But there must be clear criteria. It shouldn't be a guessing. All right, let me bring up everything here. Describe who will prepare the status reports as a plan, including accounting for the expenditure. We have to promote it to all members of the clubs, to other clubs, division, etc. Remember that while the board isn't required to approve projects, they're required to approve all club expenditures. So if the project has an expenditure, you have to, if as a board member, you'd have to tell me about the project and then tell me why you're going to spend it. So that's the only reason why you have to come with a project, but not to approve the project, but to approve the expenditure. And if you get that early, you don't have to do it every month. Projects should not be planned solely by a chairman or worse yet by the president. We need to include a risk management plan each time to see what could go wrong, anticipate what could go wrong, and put in place some sort of mitigation solutions if it goes wrong. Always plan for and include fellowship in all projects. Always include fellowship in everything. The execution, all club members are required to be part of club project execution, as we did go through. So get support from the president, from the marketing or the PR in getting the word out, and send the word out yourself, or who is in charge of internal communications, secretary as well. Also ensure external stakeholders get involved. So the community, the sponsored youth, or what they call them, these new service leadership. Communicate with them early. Allocate responsibilities amongst committee members. And you can bring in non-committee members as you feel fit in terms of your planning and your implementation. Get there early to ensure smooth execution. Always include fellowship activities. And of course, make sure you clean up when you're leaving, wherever you go. All right, many clubs have projects that are undertaken every year. It's important to build on the successes and learn from missteps to improve over time. Okay, one of the measures of the clubs is how effective are your projects. Now, if this year your projects are pretty much achieving only 40% of the objectives, that's the quality of your project planning and execution. And next year you want to improve that from 40 to 55, for example. You have to find ways to improve the effectiveness of your projects. So find ways to better plan, to better execute, to better report, better learn, and so forth. And the committee and the chairman plays a critical role for that committee, but also you can share it among all of the committees about how the club can do better in their projects. The committee must meet after the project being implemented to discuss positive, negatives, and how to address and improve. And the above should include a report to the board and the club, especially when you might be sending something, because you have to report on the use of the funds Right, but report to the board or to the club. All right. A report should be kept as a general record of the summary, right? All of these, right? And as I said, you need to decide whether you're going to report to the club meeting, to a business meeting. If you're using the board, fine, you can continue. But it's important. The main reason for reporting is actually learning to use for improvements and to make sure everybody understands it. If we are continuing, if for example we had a project that was supposed to utilize X and they used more than they were supposed to do, or they didn't get the turnout that they were expected, we must understand why we didn't get the turnout and what we're going to do next time to do it. All right. So what I found in Clone, that real engine that drives the club is a club committee, right? As you saw in that. However, the chairman is a spark plug that makes the engine roars and the club soars. And this is my conclusion. Any questions or comments or feedback? Whoa, I didn't know it would take so long. It's 1 o'clock already. Madam President, any?
No, DLG, you have been quite clear, and the discussion has been good so far.
Okay.
Discussion itself has been fruitful, and why we would get up to 1 o'clock. But at the end, your presentation does show the need for really having club committee very functional and effective.
Sorry, DLG, I don't know if it's me alone, but you're a little low.
Yes.
You're a little low.
Okay, because I'm using this phone, I don't know my computer. But... Right, I was saying that clearly it demonstrates the purpose of club committee, led by the chairman, and how important they are to actually achieving the goals of the club. And in of itself, you know, how critical their role is. And I hope that persons here would have, you know, learned from this. The discussion was very fruitful, and I guess a learning for most people, hence the reason why we would have probably gone up to 1, because we really on the presentation itself.
Okay.
And are you at the point of vote of thanks, DLG, Keith? Well, I'm not sure what else is on the agenda.
Are you finished, DLG Bobby?
I'm quite finished. Unless there are any questions I need to respond to.
Okay. So DLG Keith, you may back to you.
Okay, thank you, President. And thank you, DLG Bobby. But we have one who will be doing the vote of thanks more appropriately. So may I ask DP Desmond, Treasurer Desmond.
Thank you. DLG Keith. DLG Bobby, is it DLG or DLGE? Let me make sure.
I don't know why Keith has been adding E to my name. I'm not DLG. You know, it's very interesting. For 3 years between myself, Berkeley, and Willie.
Yes.
Our dearly departed past international president, Dr. John Button, he decided that Jamaica was getting too many awards, and he decided to drop the excellence. And so for 3 years, there was no LG given the DLGE title for those 3 years. And by the time Kay came back, by the time Kay came in with she almost forced she and her team forced the then Governor Chuck to make sure he appointed an E, and that's what happened. So I'm just DLG, a simple DLG, simple.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, DLG, Bobby. Let me say that we immensely appreciate your presentation, your contribution. I know that we couldn't afford to pay for this, DLG. The quality, the content, really appreciate it.
Okay.
And of course, you have created or generated within us that kind of awareness, that consciousness, that when we are thinking of projects, we must think of the outcome, not just the output, the numbers that we want to be concerned with. We want to see the outcome. How will it impact the community? How will it transform the lives of our children? How will it transform the lives of communities? And therefore, that kind of a consciousness which you have created in us, that whatever we do and how we approach it, think ultimately of the goals, the objectives, the purpose of it. What do we want to achieve as the outcome? But I just also letting us be more aware, sensitive of knowing the roles of the various positions and to see how they contribute to the whole. Of course, they were mindful. I'm not repeating the presenter's delivery, but at the same time, I'm just highlighting some of the things which I found interesting. Board will hold the president accountable for the performance of the club. Just want to note that. How much we at the same time will set and monitor success, monitor performance, monitor achievement, and how frequently we do that, something that we have to ensure that we have that in place. The board needs to track, as you say, club performance and not necessarily community performance, community achievements. I note I accept the point, accept that a business meeting is necessary where we allow for that two-way communication on club and community performances. So, DLG Bobby, thank you again, sir. Thank you for being us. Thanks for giving us your time. And this is all, I take it, in the love of Kiwanis and the love of the development of our Kiwanis family members. Thank you.
You're quite welcome, and it was my pleasure and anytime.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, DLG Bobby.
Thank you, DLG Bobby. Thank you so much. I learned a lot today.
You're quite welcome, Alfie. I learned a lot myself.
You're welcome.
I want to thank everyone for joining us in this session and staying the course, because I know we would have been here for nearly 3 hours, and but it is worth it, and I hope we will put a lot of what we have learned in action. So thank you again for coming out, and please.
And thank you, DLG Keith, for organizing this session. Certainly appreciate it.
Okay, with that being said, and to all the others, this session.
And thanks to all the persons of the clubs that came to the session. We really appreciate it.
I just want to say
thank you to President Cheryl.
I just want to say that this is recorded on YouTube. So if you want to review it, you can see it at any time. But I'm going to end the YouTube